Hello, welcome to episode 16 of the Hour podcast. Today on Andor and sort of Rogue One a bit, but spoiler warning for Andor and Rogue One, obviously. So click off the video if you don't want spoilers. But let's begin. So let's cover Andor first, since it's chronologically first. Andor is the origins of Andor. It's definitely a slower show, a lot more build up and a lot less happening, but it definitely builds up like Andor and like his change over time. I also like the prison. I almost like thought like with those like long hallways connecting the cells, like I feel like it could be very easy to like drop prisoners out of those things, like if there was some sort of like release thing, just let prisoners fall to their death. That would be a very scary thing and definitely instill fear in the prisoners. But they had the electric force, so that did the job, I guess, enough. But it'd still be another scary element if that was a part of the prison. But yeah, the prison was definitely interesting. And spoilers, the parts with the Death Star shown at like the very end, like after the like credits at the final episode. So yeah, Death Star parts. But yeah, it builds up Andor pretty well, and it seems like the other main characters are going to be like Cyril and the Imperial lady. I forget her name. Uh, but yeah, they seem like they're going to be the other sort of like main characters, and yeah, I like Andor. It's not like my favorite, but it's good, but definitely a bit slow, maybe a bit too slow for me personally, but I can appreciate that they put time and effort into it, which is very much like what I do. Like, I'm building up my story and building up my universe over a long time. Sometimes things happen very quickly, and sometimes things are slower and things go along slower. So, yeah. But, yeah, so I can't exactly complain about it too much when I do the same thing, just sometimes, you want to get to the action, and especially with like the low attention span of like today, these days, like a slower show doesn't always work out, but it is definitely a good show, like good, like build up and like developing the world, and yeah, so I like it. One thing I didn't even think about, now spoilers for Rogue One, during the whole show is Andor dies in Rogue One, like he is dead. I didn't even think about that the whole time watching that, like yeah, Andor, what happens to him? And it's like, he dies, me, he dies. It's a, yeah, I think that does show, like, it's well written, like, you don't even think about Rogue One while watching the show, like, even though that's obviously where things are going, like, Rogue One is ultimate end of Andor, but you don't even think about that in the show, like about like Andor's death. You're more focused on what's going on. So I think that's a sign that it's well written and stops you think about, oh yeah, he dies. I'm not going to be invested in someone who's already dead. But the show distracts you from that fact by being, I guess, well written. So that's more props to Andor, the show, that you don't really think about Rogue One. And yeah, I still like Rogue One a lot. I mean, K2SO is probably like one of my all time favorite characters in Star Wars. He's barely in Star Wars, only one movie. But hopefully, with season 2, more K2SO. Especially since, like, he got so little time to be a character. This is why probably, like, Obi-Wan and, like, Captain Rex are higher. I think it's a hard choice between, like, Captain Rex or Obi-Wan for, like, my all-time favorite, but I think Rex beats Obi-Wan just by the smallest sliver. Like, I really like Rex, and Rex at his weakest, like, character-wise, is questionably Rebels, but honestly, they did have good Rex episodes in Rebels, like him sort of having PTSD back to Clone Wars, and yeah, Rex was like one of the highlights of Rebels. Not saying Rebels is bad, I like Rebels, but you know, some of it was a bit more eh, but none of it was necessarily too bad. But it's been a while since I've watched it. I need to rewatch Rebels. There may be a future podcast episode on Rebels once I've rewatched it all. But we'll see if there is one or not. Time will tell. But yeah, I think Rex is number one. Obi-Wan probably be number two. And even though there's a lack of K2SO so far, he'd probably be number three. I'm just saying, I really liked him. And if it's in Andor season 2, which I think it'll be in that, it'll definitely push him over the line and actually he'll have more character moments. So that means hopefully he will be a character. I wonder when they're going to introduce him, because there's going to be like 3 different times in the next season that's been confirmed for Andor season 2, that there'll be 3 different time periods and there'll be time skips. So I wonder which time period out of the 3 he'll be introduced. If it's introduced in the last one, that sucks. That's possibly only 4 episodes with him. But if it's in the middle one, I feel like that's definitely, I can accept that. If it's in the first one, well, hell yeah, ultimate victory. But I somehow doubt they'll have him immediately K2SO, especially since he's a more comedical character. They may save him for the last one just because of that fact. So it may not even be in the middle. But if he ends up in the middle time skip, I'll be happy. Definitely more happy if it's in the last one, because if it's in the last one, it's like, it's only appearing right at the end. And hopefully, it won't be in like the last like 2 or 3 episodes, like he or gets introduced in the very last episode. That would absolutely suck. That'd be the worst case scenario. Like introducing him in the last time period, like if he's introduced in the first episode of that, and there's probably going to be 12 episodes, that means he'd be in 4 episodes. I can accept that kind of, but if it's like 3, if it's 2, oh god, that's not a lot of time with them, not a lot of extra time to characterize the robot. And if it's in the very last episode, boy, that's no time at all. No time at all. You know him and he's gone. Only other place would be Rogue One. So, and I don't think they'll do that. I don't think K2SO will appear in the very last episode. That'd just be a very dumb decision. But it is possible that'll only be in the end. And plus, I think one of the things I think I heard this somewhere, is that the meeting between like Andor and K2SO will be an event for one or something like that. I don't know. But either way, yeah, I like Andor. Maybe not as much as other Star Wars shows, but I like it. And Rogue One, yeah, I definitely like Rogue One. They're all dead. But yeah. So that will be it for this podcast episode. Until next time, peace.